Evening, morning,
Hello. Hello. Morning.
some time of day.
Okay, so yeah, you might be listening to this at any which time. You might even be seeing us because I think this episode we're actually going to put onto YouTube because it has some serious high production values here. I have Chewbacca with me over here, and this has got to be my favorite background ever. So anyway, we've got this Zoom background, and Bob, you're in front of Mount Everest, I think. Is that correct?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, right in front of the standard route to Summit.
I believe you scaled it 7 times. Is that correct?
Uh,
Or in
yeah.
your mind?
In my dreams, yeah.
Yes. I have multiple things to unveil here. This is a big podcast for us. So one, like I say, this is going to be on YouTube. Second, I have a brand new podcast that I've created. I have the Jack Benny podcast, which was my first one, and then I had the Judy Garland and Friends, and now this whole thing with Bob is going so well that I am unveiling to him for the first time and to all of you viewers my new my new screen that's on the wrong screen. But I'll fix it when we get there. So chill out, everyone. Okay, hang on. I'm working on it. Oh gosh, let me change. Where did it go? I think it's right.
Well, we got Daryl's email.
I am good. There. Look at there.
Woo!
You see this? We have Strange Worlds of Dimension X, X-1 OTR podcast with the Johnny Quest episode up there because that's probably my favorite one we've done so far. And we've got spacey looking stuff going on and everything. So if you go to www.buckbenny.podomatic.com, you will get to this. But also if you just search for it, Strange New Worlds, if you type in Strange and Dimension X, you'll probably find it on any search engine.
I'm gonna have to go follow it so we have a follower.
Yes, we have 0 followers. Yes, this is great. I will say this though, I have had it up for like 4 days or something, and haven't even publicized it yet or anything. And so far, there it is. On the 28th, we had 62 people check it out. On the 29th, we had 76, and on the 30th, we had 93, and on the 31st, we had 113. So
nice.
It's a generally going uphill, and that's without us doing much of anything with it. So
nice.
Yeah, I'm happy with that for now, and we will keep doing this and bringing you more shows. We are adding a show this week. We're going to have Leonard Nimoy presentations that we're going to do because he hosted a science fiction adventure show called Mutual Radio Theater. 1 day a week it was that, but we will get to that. I will put this, maybe should I put this in our back? Yeah, I should put this in our background because they got to see my wonderful, I dressed up for this, so they got to have me. So let's turn off our stop sharing here. Yeah, we're back. Hi. So I'm on board the Millennium Falcon here, and with Chewie. So this is awesome. And I even wore my vest to be somewhat like my friend Han Solo. So let's get started with our podcast. This is Buck Benny speaking, of course, and with my friend Just Bob.
Just Bob here.
Just Bob there, and Chewie.
Hey, Chewie.
Chewie, he doesn't talk. Apparently, he's lost his voice box. Anyway, Bob, we're starting out with which episode?
The Potters of Fursk.
Yes, Potters of Fursk. And what did you think? And maybe you can give us a quick plot summary there. Don't give us everything away, but
plot summary takes place on an alien planet.
Yes.
Where
that is not Mars. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Most of our stories take place on Mars.
Or Venus.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows there's life on both those planets.
Yeah, and Venus is amazingly good. I went vacationing there a few years ago in Boston. Go ahead.
And that 800 degrees, yeah. That atmosphere is like, I think it's like sulfuric acid or something.
Yeah.
Horrible like that. So in this episode, it has kind of almost looking at like our Native American relations. The guy that's in the film, or the leader on this planet, kind of looks down at the native people.
Right.
And there's actually two groups. One of the group is a group of potters who actually like pots people's souls. When they pot these things, your soul is actually in it. So after you die, you get put into these pots.
Yes.
And they're of course looking for the mysterious yellow dye, which no one is. They've been working for thousands of years to get this dye. And
Yes.
so the main character gets this relationship with this one of the natives, and then the story just progresses from there.
Mm-hmm. So what did you think of the story?
I liked it. It
Yeah.
was. I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, that's what I would say. I would say concept-wise, very interesting story as far as the concept of the pots and the whole thing. I thought that was interesting. Creative story, let's put it that way. And as far as visceral, entertaining story, probably not the most, but definitely thought-provoking, I would say. Yes?
Yeah, and it was interesting for the date how they were kind of. It kind of reflected, I guess, U.S. history a bit. You know,
Okay.
I think the other thing about it, it had kind of reminded me a little bit of what's it, the H.G. Wells book, where he travels in time.
Right. Time Machine.
Yeah, time machine. You have like the native people and the Morlocks.
Yes.
It's not quite as hostile in this situation,
Correct. Correct.
but you kind of have that sort of parallel to that too.
Agreed. Agreed. I hadn't even thought about that, but you're right. That does tie in pretty well. So for your homework, folks, this week, watch The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, or read the book. Either one. So. All right. I guess we switch to our next one, yay?
Yes. Our next one, I guess, is going to be The Embassy.
Yes, The Embassy. And again, one of these that because Dimension X and X-1 were covering some of the same ground at the beginning, we're almost through, I think, with them covering the same ground. So we shouldn't have too many more repeats. But this is one that we played for you a few weeks ago. But this will be a different version of it, of course. And what did you think of The Embassy? And give us a summary of The Embassy, Bob.
Yeah, I like this one. So this is New York, and there's, Martians are like infiltrating society, and this guy is looking into it. And in the end, it turns out, well, I don't want to ruin the plot for you.
Yeah.
It turns out things aren't quite what he thought originally, are a little bit more complex.
Yes.
Also, the other thing, this has a parallel to a Twilight Zone episode.
Okay. Do you want to share which Twilight Zone episode, or does that give too much away?
I think that gives it away.
Okay.
But if there is an episode that is kind of, very similar, the ending is almost exactly the same in terms of how it reveals itself. Yeah, if I give you the episode, it's going to ruin it for you.
Yeah, so don't give them the episode. Just realize this is your other piece of homework, listeners, that you get a chance to think, what Twilight Zone episode might this be the same as? And if we, between us, remember, I don't know if either of us will remember, but if we remember, next week, we will share with you what that Twilight Zone episode was and relate a little bit about the similarities, what the similarities were. I will say, did you catch anything else in here? Like, you got to remember at this point in time, when the Red Scare is so big in our nation, this is when everyone was concerned about getting written up that they were a Red sympathizer, communist sympathizer sort of thing. Did you catch that the whole invasion concept and who do you trust and all of that could be reflecting back on this a little bit?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's really hard to tell who is the Martian.
Yes.
In this episode, in fact, he gets fooled a couple of times. So yeah, he's suspicious.
Correct.
Of pretty much everybody.
So yeah, I would say of the two episodes, the Embassy is the best one. But I would also say we're going to show it second because we already played it once earlier this summer. So, and Potters of Firsk is now it is brand new to, we haven't played it before, so that'll be our first episode we play. So let's move on to the, unless you have anything to add about this, but otherwise let's move on to the Leonard Nimoy show.
Yeah, this one's called That's My Baby. And it's kind of takes place in a dystopian future where there's so many people, there's no space. Every piece of space has to be like accounted for. And so this couple gets married. You only get married once a month, or once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And
so it's a massive wedding. And we're not giving much away because that, like in the first few seconds of the show, they talk about how there's like, I can't remember what it is, 4, 5, 6,000 people marrying another 4, 5, 6,000 people. I thought what was kind of interesting is it makes it very clear that these, let's say 6,000 men are marrying these 6,000 women. And I thought in a futuristic thing, if it was rewritten today, I think it would say, I don't think it would say men and women. I think it would say partners or whatever, because chances are some of them will be heterosexual and some of them homosexual and so forth. But even back, this is just from 1980, and even back in 1980, it was like that isn't even like part of the concept at all. And so, anyway, keep going, Bob.
Yep. Nope. Not. And so, to have a child, you have to get a card because they're got to account for each the amount of air and everything the new person is going to use. So if you get a blue card, you get a boy. Pink card, you get a girl, which is kind of stereotypical too. But then there's a third option. there's the third option, which is the yellow card. The yellow card, they like bring some frozen person who's been, I guess, dead back to life. Mm-hmm. And because they need them for some reason in society, and then that's what you don't get a child.
You don't get a kid at that point.
Yeah, you get some adult apparently that you don't. Well,
you might know, but
you might know. Yeah, and so that's basically what this episode is about.
I can't remember. Could you? And you couldn't choose. Like, I want a yellow card so I can bring back my dad or my uncle or something. That wasn't a choice. They told you what was going to happen, correct?
Yeah, because in the episode, the lady wants a child. Yeah. And she gets a yellow card. She gets yellow carded.
She's yellow card. Oh no! Yellow card. Where she should have just pulled out a pink marker and just marked over the card. Pink, dang it! Tell you, pink.
Yeah. Oh dear.
What did you think about the episode itself?
I think like we discussed before, of the three, I think it was, in terms of like plot and writing, I don't think it was up to par with Dimension X and X-1.
Right. Yeah, and this is what we kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. I like bringing this to us, especially on a sci-fi centered podcast like we have, and have Leonard Nimoy, because of course his tie into Star Trek, that he played Spock in in Star Trek for decades. But then, and it's just neat to hear his voice, and I just love to hear his voice again now that he's gone. It's neat that these shows exist.
Yep.
But the writing on the shows was not, as Bob says, up to par of the science fiction shows of the 1950s. I think a decent chance of this is because the show itself was run Monday through Friday, and on Mondays it would be a Western that they'd write, and on Tuesday it would be like a mystery show, and on Wednesday it'd be like a romance episode, so that every day was different, and Fridays were the Leonard Nimoy days where he introduced the show, and it was science fiction and or adventure. And they had some of the same writers writing all of them, and it's hard to be good in all those different fields. And I just think their science fiction stories weren't quite up to what you would expect in the 1950s stories. But I would say this: it's interesting to hear science fiction from the point of view of the 80s. They use some at the time, hip current lingo in their shows, which really dates it more than the X-1s, because in those they don't go around saying, "Oh, that's swell," and "Oh, and that's groovy," or anything like that. They don't do that. But in the '80s shows, I think to differentiate themselves from the old time radio, they like to bring in the new things, and there'll be episodes that talk about drug usage and things that you would never get back in the days of Dimension X and X-1, but they're pretty rudimentary discussions of that, pretty lightweight, and so yeah, they just don't. They're just not that great of shows. But hearing, like I say, Leonard Nimoy on them is great, and it's interesting as a comparison to go, oh, okay, so this is they're trying to be what X-1 and Dimension X were, but they're just not of that same caliber. So.
Yep.
Good. Makes sense.
Makes sense.
Makes sense. So let's get into the episode. I hope you enjoy this one, and we'll be bringing you some more Leonard Nimoy, and of course, email me and tell me if you wanted me to keep bringing Leonard Nimoy. As we're creating a science fiction podcast too, that would open the door for other science fiction shows. I'll bumble around and see what I can find, but really, of all the science fiction done in old time radio, Dimension X and X-1 are the flagship shows, and that's the crux of what we're going to be sharing. The other thing that we'll be doing, I will be talking about, and maybe Bob will be if he gets into watching these episodes and things, but we'll be talking. One of the reasons it's called Strange New Worlds of Dimension X is because the other show that I would like to talk about is Strange New Worlds, which is the new Star Trek show that's going to be with Captain Pike and so forth. And I think it might be fun to go through and talk about the second season of Discovery, Star Trek Discovery, in that it introduces to modern audiences the Pike character and Number One and Spock, and just kind of a neat tie-in. So I thought the name of the podcast could double up and serve for a new science fiction show that's coming out that's not even out yet, and listening to some old science fiction shows from old time radio. So without further ado, enjoy this episode. And Bob, I will say we're out, and why don't you say goodbye from your Mount Everest home there.
Goodbye from Everest. Enjoy the episode and stay warm.
Enjoy the rest of your morning and or evening. So,
or middle of the night, or whatever you're listening.
And if you want to see this episode, tune into YouTube for my YouTube channel. I'll have a link on my podcast so you can get there. I think my YouTube, if you want to look for it, if you type in Buck Benny, I think that's the name of my YouTube channel and stuff. So maybe you can find it. There's going to be some new videos there. This video, we'll do our weekly video, but then I also have some interviews that I've done with different folks over the past number of days. And so there's going to be a decent amount of content there to watch. And if you want to see me, you can see me. What a thrill. Thank you. And you can see Bob. It's a thrill to see Bob, I tell you. The man is so handsome. You'll watch it. Go, wait a minute, is that George Clooney? But
yeah. He didn't warn me we were going to film today, so yeah. I didn't get my Han Solo costume.
Yes, he doesn't. He doesn't have his wig on with full hair.
In my climbing gear and my my mask.
Next time I want to see climbing gear. Yeah, some pound in the mountains. That'd be great.